Welcome to day 10 of Insight into Iceland for the 2021 Mid-Season Invitational. How are you all doing? I'm having a great day and everything is wonderful. So let's talk about today's games. Game 1, PSG Talent against RNG. So PSG was the team that gave RNG their first loss of the tournament. Started with Xiaohu bullying the top lane matchup. He's been doing a lot of that this tournament, using a Lee Sin into a Jace, which can, I think, go either way a little bit depending on how things get set up. But PSG were playing to the bot side, RNG playing to the top side. PSG were stacking some dragons. Kaiwing did some of what he's done a lot this tournament on his Leona, creating some picks. River got fed on his Rumble. RNG were playing from behind, not the best look from them. PSG wanted to do Baron. They couldn't pull it off. Until Xiaohu finally created a really big play, set up a big team fight that RNG won. They picked up a Baron. So come from behind, win. PSG tried to pull it back by forcing a play mid. They got aced. That was what kind of decided it. So not the most impressive game for RNG overall, but they managed to avoid getting upset twice by PSG. So good for them. Game 2, Mad Lions against Damwon. This was an Aatrox blind pick from Damwon, which is a little different, a little interesting. Showmaker on his classic Zoe. Mad Lions went with Isaiah Rakan bot lane. Lee Sin top. Rumble, Jungle Rumble, they've been having kind of the higher priority on it. Some teams have been kind of letting that priority slip more, but Mad Lions are sticking with it. There was a bit of a misplay early on. Armut kind of overplayed a skirmish in the river. And Damwon jumped into the lead from there, and really they just controlled the entire game after that. So relatively small mistake that had a really big consequence, because Damwon playing with the lead, I think, was really oppressive. They used the Herald. Showmaker ended up picking it up at the tail end of that skirmish, and he broke mid-outer with it. He was super, super fed early on. Canyon was all over the place. Sorry, I was mixing up the Herald a little bit with the second game. The second game is the one where Showmaker picked up the Herald himself. Anyways, Damwon still got the first Herald in this game, and they broke the mid-outer with it. Canyon was running all over the place on his Udyr, having a lot of influence. And Damwon were just playing the map, playing macro, using the side lanes, until finally they found a team fight in the mid lane. They won the 5v5, they got a Baron. Mad Lions got a few kills defending their Nexus, but it wasn't enough. They stalled it out as long as they could, but Damwon were just too good at the lead, and their lead grew too big. So more or less a macro win for for Damwon after the lost river skirmish. Game 3, Cloud9 against Royal Never Give Up. So this is a game that Cloud9 didn't have to win to keep themselves alive, but you kind of figured they needed to pull off, to put themselves in a really good position. They wanted to pull off at least one, good upset. And they couldn't do it against Damwon yesterday, so here was their chance against RNG. They picked up a Volibear for themselves. RNG went with more Twisted Fate focus, which they'd done some yesterday as well. And they had played Twisted Fate against PSG earlier in the day also. Did they play TF yesterday? It doesn't matter. They played TF twice today. This game started off with some really aggressive pathing from Blabber. So he cleared his top quadrant into, so a one quadrant clear into a top lane gank that got first blood, because Fudge had set up the wave for it, and Xiaohu didn't expect, Blabber to kind of sacrifice his own jungle clear for it. And Blabber wrapped through the river, got the top crab post gank, ganked mid right away for another kill, moved down to the bot river for the crab, with Vulcan helping him, and then Blabber and Vulcan immediately ganked mid again after Cry and TP'd back from that first kill. Get another kill, so 3 early kills for Cloud9. They got into the lead. Xiaohu still used his Jason to Lee Sin, so playing the other side of that matchup, to bully the matchup this time. Got a huge lead on Fudge. Fudge had to teleport back into lane, his first kind of reset with a TP back to lane. He got punished on the arrival and chunked really hard. Xiaohu got, so much control of that lane. Big CS lead. Some turret plates too, I believe. But then Cloud9, started switching their focus back to the bot side, which they've been doing all tournament long. They took the second dragon. Fudge had a good teleport to flank in and make some good plays. And throughout this game, Fudge had some nice team fighting plays in the Lee Sin, which he's done earlier in the tournament as well. So some kills going back and forth both ways. Scrappy bit of a game, but then it came down to a fight for the Dragon Soul with Cloud9, I think, having the first 3 dragons up to that point. Cloud9 won that fight. It was a close one. And they forced the Baron. That leads to an inhibitor, and then they siege to win. So they got a lead off their early pathing, and Blabber doing some really, really nice ganking and a nice clear game plan. And they rolled that lead out. So good work from Cloud9. They pulled off a huge upset. And the day just ended there, and everything was great. That's all we got to, right? No, the game went on. The day went on. Game 4, Pentanet against Mad. Mad stomped Pentanet. They allowed Pentanet to have the Rumble this time, but Mad attacked the Rumble level 1, set it behind. Humanoid teleported into the bot lane for a skirmish. Mad did all kinds of invading and diving and whatever else. Mad Lions also played a Lysandra in this game, so that was kind of fun, but it was kind of what you'd expected out of a Pentanet game, right? This is how Pentanet games always go at this tournament. Game 5, Damwon Kia against PSG. Khan was weak siding on a Gnar, and Canyon was pathing down to the bottom side on his Rumble, so Damwon still maintaining some Rumble priority of their own too. Then River went for a gank into the top lane. Khan, River played it pretty well, but Khan managed to survive it, had to spend his flash, but that topside investment meant that Damwon could control the dragon. They had a Showmaker teleport into the bot lane to help with a skirmish as well on the bot side. And then this was the game where there ended up being a 4v4 fight at the Herald that Damwon, slightly won in Showmaker. This is the game that I accidentally said earlier, where Showmaker picked up the Herald for himself, used it on the mid turret, accelerated himself so hard. I believe he was 4-0 in kills, 4 kills, and got the turret gold as well. So he was just super fed on the Zoe this game. PSG kept pushing back. They got a pick and were looking for a dragon, but Damwon played a super good fight, abused some kind of cooldowns that were down on PSG's side, won a 4v5 fight and got an ace at the dragon, and that was kind of the backbreaker from there. So overall, it was a pretty dominant game from Damwon, and especially from Showmaker, and pretty impressive from their side. And then we got Game 6, which is supposed to be a write-off between Pentanet and C9. This is the free win that C9 needed to just, hey, they got their upset over RNG. Now they're actually in a kind of okay position. But no. Cloud9 draft a Scion, Lilia, Tristana, Kai'Sa, Nautilus, which has some good tools in it. The Scion, weak side, tank, whatever. Perks has been really good in the Tristana. Kai'Sa Nautilus is like the meta bot lane right now. But Pentanet got the Senatom Kench, and they got the Victor, and they got the Set. So like really good counter engage tools here, and the Udyr as well, which is just a much more meta jungler than the Lilia right now. Cloud9 are playing to the bot side. They're working on early dragons, but Pentanet get the top side control, traded back. So Pentanet get the first Herald, they get the first turret. Now Fudge is pulling waves in and at some points freezing a little bit. The big issue to me, I think, in this game, Cloud9 kept forcing fights that weren't really necessary. I thought they needed to have really good team fight setups, and ultimately they needed to set up the map properly so that they could create outman fights, but they kept trying to engage like even-numbered fights or fights where they were acting like they had more tempo than they really did. Pentanet either resisted those plays or punished them and got a kill here, a couple of kills there. Finally, Pentanet punished one hard enough to get a Baron. There were some more tense Baron standoffs after that, some really close team fights. Cloud9 won one and got a Baron back, but Pentanet were able to secure the Infernal Soul. After Cloud9 got the first 2 dragons of the game, Pentanet got the next 4. So it came down in the end that it was really hard for Cloud9. They kept trying to be proactive and force fights, but they didn't have the best engage tools. The Lilia engages didn't quite work out, and there was the Tom Kench against them and the Victor and so on, all these tools that Pentanet had. There was still a chance for Cloud9 to make a comeback in this until they got caught out in the bot lane, not grouped up tightly enough, spread around the map a little much. Perks had been doing a lot of side laning and had huge farm in the Tristana, but just couldn't get resets off, get in the best position. So Cloud9 gave up a poor setup, a good setup on Pentanet's side, and they ended the game. So some obvious takeaways from this day. This was the most North American sequence of events you could possibly imagine. Late in a tournament, late in a certain stage of a tournament, they pull off a giant upset, everybody's feeling good, and then they have the biggest letdown game you could ever imagine. So, obviously beating RNG was a big deal. I thought Blabber this was the Blabber that we're used to from the LCS. But, Fudge also, I think Fudge got a lot of attention, but Blabber was really the MVP of that game. Fudge's Lee Sin plays were just very impressive, but classic story of Fudge getting kind of destroyed in lane much more than he needed to be, even though he was being weak side. I think there are issues with Cloud9 leaving him, like not continuing to sustain jungle attention to his lane, even if they get him early ganks. focusing too much on dragon stacking and so on, and not enough on the Herald and turret side of the game. And I also think Vulcan overall has been better than Fudge in this tournament, but that's not meant to be a criticism of Fudge, just that I think it's really exciting to see all the praise he's getting, but I think there needs to be some balance in that. But then, obviously, the Pentanet game rolled around. Like I said, enormous letdown, very painful. Cloud9 are still in the tournament, but they need RNG to beat Mad Lions, and Cloud9 need to win against PSG and Mad Lions tomorrow. If they do that, they're going to get a tiebreaker game against the Mad Lions to advance. So a lot of things need to go right. It could happen, but if Cloud9 had won this game, they would be in that much better of a position. And other takeaway, I think, looking at kind of the trends that Damwon on one side and RNG on the other side have been going through. I think coming out of the group stage, obviously we didn't really learn anything about RNG in the group that they were in, and how kind of smooth sailing it was for them. But Damwon were playing pretty shaky, and they gave up that game to Cloud9. They had some games that just didn't look like there were a lot of individual mistakes or overplaying things, and they didn't seem too impressive. But coming, I think we saw some of those similar trends in the first round robin of the Rumble stage as well. Damwon looking shaky, RNG looking really solid. But now in the last couple days, things are kind of switching around. Damwon are rounding into form. I thought both of their wins today were pretty impressive, and a lot more kind of informed for them. And RNG are having this kind of strange twisted fate priority. I had some criticisms of Cryan yesterday, and I think his TF didn't get enough done today either. RNG are relying a lot on Xiaohu, and they're starting to get some of their weaknesses exposed a little more. So I think Damwon are on an upward trend, and RNG are on a downward trend. And we'll see how that comes together in the best of fives when those roll around. But it is worth saying Xiaohu has been playing great. He's been doing very well. And Damwon have some members doing really well too. Showmaker and Canyon are the two big ones, and I think they usually have been, but especially Showmaker, I think his Zoe games today were a treat to watch. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maintain some, as an NA fan, maintain some faith and optimism, but it's so hard, especially when the letdown comes after the big high of the RNG win. You kind of get left with the most recent big negative taste in your mouth. I think if they lost to Pentanet and then beat RNG, we'd still be feeling kind of bad about it, but feeling a lot, a little more on the positive side. So we'll see what happens tomorrow and whether we get a tiebreaker game or not. Either way, interesting day, very entertaining day, I think, and hopefully you guys all enjoyed it as well. So I'll see you tomorrow.